Love and marriage go together like the horse and carriage.
Hello? Okay, listen to me. Can you tell me what your address is? You 218 East Coast Drive. Okay, and who is it? Okay, your name is David? Okay, who is it that's not breathing?
My wife,
Your wife is not breathing? Okay. I need to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Listen to me. I'm going to get the paramedics so we can try and get her some help, okay? Don't hang up.
Latest on a murder mystery in Orlando. It's been a week since a woman was found dead inside a home, and today there are still unanswered questions about what exactly happened. News 6 reporter Mark Lehman explains why police have ruled her death as a homicide and what they're saying about the investigation.
In the week since investigators were at this home, neighbors tell us their concerns have only grown. Now with the case being ruled a homicide, there are many here left with questions about what happened and who's responsible. In the quiet upscale neighborhood near Delaney Park, the only sign that a crime happened at this home is the sign itself, offering a reward for help in solving the case. Orlando police say they were called here on April 24th and found 39-year-old Shanti Cooper-Trones dead at the home, but they aren't saying much else. The initial OPD report only states that the call was turned over to the Criminal Investigation Division. It was later ruled a homicide. With no other details, the mystery has those in the community wondering exactly what happened to the woman many say they knew. Neighbors didn't want to speak on camera, but they tell us Cooper-Trones lived at the home with a man who was either her boyfriend or husband. She also had a child from a previous marriage. Neighbors say the couple had been renovating the home for the last couple years, but that work was still unfinished.
In 2013, David Trones and Shanti Cooper-Trones met online on a dating website. At the time, David resided in Minneapolis, having recently separated from his ex-wife just a few months prior. The attraction was immediate, prompting David to swiftly relocate to Orlando, Florida, leaving behind his past life in pursuit of a new chapter with Shanti. Shanti's friends praised her as an exceptionally hardworking and devoted mother to her then 8-year-old son, shared with her ex-husband. Shanti's diligent spirit was complemented by her significant success. She had launched a prosperous financial software business, conducting her operations from a home office. Shanti felt she had it all: a thriving business, a handsome and devoted partner who had uprooted his life to be with her. David also told Shanti that he had inherited $6 million from his late father, yet another appealing thing about him. In 2015, David took the plunge and invested in a large 4,000 square foot fixer-upper house in Orlando's Delaney Park neighborhood. The property came with a hefty price tag of $600,000, and David made the unconventional move of paying in full with cash. Shanti, optimistic about their future, believed this house would be their dream home. However, the dream quickly soured as the house proved to be more trouble than it was worth. Despite the initial vision, it transformed into a relentless money pit. Every attempt to address one issue led to the discovery of 5 more, creating a seemingly never-ending cycle of repairs. Shanti found herself pouring $250,000 into the property, yet progress remained minimal. The relentless challenges took a toll on Shanti and David's relationship, causing a noticeable strain. The house-related stress was not the only factor contributing to the growing tension. In a shocking revelation, Shanti learned that despite her substantial financial contributions to the property, her name was absent from the deed. As the realization set in, doubts emerged not only about the house, but also about David's integrity. Speculation among Shanti's friends and those close to David arose, questioning the authenticity of his claimed $1 million inheritance from his father. According to David's friends, he exhibited peculiar behaviors, noting that he was very careful with his money. When in their company, he would scrutinize every expense, engaging in penny-pinching habits. His friends observed that this behavior did not align with someone who supposedly had millions in the bank. Before David purchased their costly home, the couple were sharing a rental property together. Even though both were living there, David insisted on paying only 1/3 of the rent. His logic was that since Shanti had her son part-time, she should cover 2/3 of the rent. This illustrates his frugal nature. Despite professing his love for Shanti, David adamantly refused to chip in for groceries or other expenses. In April 2018, David and Shanti were still deeply immersed in the extensive renovation of their home. The primary section of the house was deemed uninhabitable, prompting Shanti to work and reside above the garage in a compact office, while David opted to sleep downstairs with the dogs. Beyond being a mere project, the house had evolved into an all-consuming obsession for David, dominating his life. Discussions were underway with producers for potential participation in the A&E Network's Zombie House Flipping, a home renovation show featuring the transformation of old, abandoned houses into high-value homes. David believed that appearing on the show would elevate the house's value, but Shanti disagreed. Even exiting a meeting with producers just before filming was set to begin. Not appearing on the TV show seemed to anger David, and the couple would get into more arguments. They found themselves sleeping in separate rooms, adding strain to their relationship. However, all this tension would abruptly come to a shocking end. At 3:50 p.m. on April 24, 2018, David called 911 and told the operator that he had entered the bathroom and discovered his wife, Shanti, lifeless in the bathtub. David told the call handler that it looked like an accident and she might have accidentally slipped and fallen while attempting to get into the bath. Upon receiving the emergency call, first responders quickly arrived at the residence, only to encounter unexpected and unsettling details. Shanti exhibited bruises all over her body, distinct from typical slip and fall injuries, suggesting possible harm inflicted by someone or something. Notably, bruises adorned her neck, wounds marked her face, and scrapes were visible on her legs. Strangely, both Shanti and the bathtub were completely dry. These anomalies prompted investigators to consider David as a suspect. Upon request, David voluntarily accompanied them to the station, where he underwent a 14-hour interrogation without legal representation. Throughout the questioning, David claimed to have taken the dogs to a park for a walk, returning to find Shanti face down in the bath, not breathing. He apparently attempted CPR, however, this was unsuccessful.
Because you heard the water and didn't hear her, you felt something was wrong?
One room, I went upstairs. I don't hear her talking on the phone, so I say hello. I don't hear anything back. I can hear water running. She's not saying anything. Doesn't seem right. Sometimes it is hard if you have the water running to hear somebody out there, so that was my assumption.
Okay, so it's one room. You don't see her?
Until
Is that
I
what
get to
you're
the bathroom.
Okay. Is the bathroom door open or closed?
Open.
Open? Okay, and so you walk toward the water that you're hearing?
Yeah, walking to the bathroom.
Okay. The door is open, and what happens? What do you see?
I see her laying with her head in the right-hand corner. The water is running, but I don't think the drain is closed, because if it was, it would be going over, right? So the water's like half full. She's submerged partially, but she's also partially not submerged, and one of her legs is kind of sticking up and out a little bit. And it's just extremely awful, and it doesn't look natural. Obviously she fell or something happened. And I tried to pick her up. I turned the water off. I tried to pick her up. She's stiff. It's hard.
She's stiff?
It's hard to pick her up. She's not. It's like a sack of potatoes, you know. It's not easy. She's not moving with me. I grabbed her arms and kind of pulled her this way, and over, I think partially over, and that's when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to carry her. I tried to pull her. I was being as careful as I could, And at the same time, I wanted to get her out of the water. I was screaming, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I pulled her out into the other room, and I didn't know what to do. It was hard to move her that way, so I turned her and I held onto her wrists. I thought that I'm still thinking that there's something I can do to help. And I'm kind of moving her, trying to get her, just shake her a little bit and trying to get the water out of her lungs. I got her in front of the couch and I had to stop. I put her down and I tried to lift her head up to kind of clear, I guess it's the thing you do if you're going to do CPR or something. And she's not responding. She has blood coming down her hips and on the side of the body. And I'm still thinking I'm still thinking that she's going to be okay. I got that, we had taken the mattress pad off the bed. I set the mattress pad down underneath her and it set her on it, and I tried to lift her. And I wiped. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what had happened. I had a towel that I had used to pull her out of the shower or out of the tub with. I tried to wipe her off. See what was.
Where was the blood coming from?
The left side of her face, here on her cheekbone.
Is that the right side?
I'm looking.
Or is it both?
I don't think so. She had blood. She had blood on the side of her head, down her neck, and when I wiped the part on her cheek, it's her left. It must have been her left. So it's my right as I'm looking at her. Right? I'm looking down. My right is her left. I wipe it. More blood comes out.
Following the interrogation, the investigators found themselves compelled to release him. Subsequently, a couple of investigators openly admitted to harboring suspicions about David. It's common practice to scrutinize those closest to the victim, and David, being Shanti's husband, naturally drew their attention. As the investigators delved deeper into David's statements and examined the crime scene, a disconcerting realization surfaced. Notably, Shanti's body had already entered rigor mortis upon their arrival, indicating that a significant amount of time had passed since her demise. This detail contradicted David's narrative of a recent slip and fall while he was at the dog park. Despite their mounting suspicions, the investigators lacked sufficient evidence to detain David, and they had to release him. Upon examination by the coroner, Shanti's cause of death was revealed. She had died from strangulation and suffered blunt force trauma to the head. It was conclusively determined that her death did not result from drowning or slipping and falling into the bath. This was no accident. When investigators returned to question David, who had become their primary suspect, he proposed a different narrative, suggesting a possible robbery. According to David, $5,000 in cash and Shanti's $15,000 engagement ring were missing from their home. Amid the ongoing search for clues, a significant lead surfaced. An employee from Club Orlando, a same-sex bathhouse, contacted authorities, asserting familiarity with David's frequent visits. David, a member of the club, had allegedly attended approximately 70 times since relocating to Orlando with Shanti. This discovery indicated that David had engaged in discreet interactions with at least 2 different men at the bathhouse, as revealed by the informant.
I was just walking through and I saw David, he was giving oral sex to this guy.
This revelation provided investigators with a potential motive. They began speculating that Shanti might have discovered David's double life. The theory suggests that she could have threatened to halt funding for the house project, potentially triggering a violent reaction from David. 4 months following Shanti's death, on August 29, 2018, David was arrested for her murder. In a surprising twist, the police conducted a search at his mother's house, where he was residing at that time. Despite his earlier claims that Shanti's $15,000 engagement ring was stolen during the alleged attack, they discovered the ring in his possession after his arrest.
She didn't stick her foot in the shower and slip. That didn't happen.
If she did, she would have fell backwards.
And you didn't find her at 3 o'clock. It didn't happen.
I don't know that.
You don't know that? Common sense would tell you if you pull a woman soaking wet out of a tub at 3 o'clock and call the police within 6 minutes, then everything will be soaking wet when the police arrive within 3 minutes of that.
Yeah.
That's common sense.
So how did everything dry up?
That's our question. Because
It
she
happened.
wasn't pulled out at 3 o'clock. It didn't happen.
Nope. There's a science behind evaporation, and that science is not matching
It's not magic.
3
Okay.
o'clock.
I can take a
Science.
shower at 6:30 in the morning, and at 10 o'clock at night, my towel's still wet. The shower even stays wet. I mean, it's just common sense.
The water was definitely filled up to where you said, but not at 3 o'clock.
That's the sliver of truth. There's blood in the water. There's another sliver of truth.
Mm-hmm.
I know you think you thought of everything, but you didn't.
I don't think I thought of everything, and I've told you over and over, I don't know.
You do know. You have to stop saying you don't know, because you do know. You do. Anyway, you do know. You know exactly what happened, because it was only you and her there. There was nobody else there. Nobody.
I don't know what happened when I wasn't there.
No,
There
I'm sure.
There had to have been close to well over an hour in the morning that I wasn't there, and well over 2 hours in the afternoon that I wasn't
Right,
there.
that's very possible that you left the residence. However, when you were there, whatever happened to her happened when you were there. It didn't happen when you were gone. It happened when you were there. And I wouldn't expect you to know what happened when you were gone. Nothing happened when you were gone.
She was already deceased.
Talk around in circles. Trust me. The evidence and her body speak for itself. And your story is BS. So you better figure it out before it goes too far. Because I'm telling you right now, nobody is going to believe that. Nobody. If you maintain that, you're going to look like a fool. Picture telling that story with your mother sitting there listening to that. And try it. Like,
As it's picked apart by as everything you told us is picked apart by everyone who testifies.
and we haven't even hit on everything.
We're holding some of it back, waiting to hear the truth. People can be sympathetic when they hear people be honest and remorseful. They can be empathetic to a situation that gets out of hand. But when people lie for hours on end and say, I know nothing about nothing, I don't know how she got that way, I thought she tripped and fell, I wasn't home, I was here, I was there, conveniently, they're not there. It's complete hogwash.
And we haven't even got the medical examiner's findings from the strangulation and all the things that go along with that. It's science. It's not guessing. It's medical science.
Plus everything we've done at your home tonight. We're still there.
This BS about 3 o'clock in tubs, and it's crap. It's crap. You know it's crap. It's a crappy story. Yeah, you don't know what happened when you were gone. I get it. But you know what happened when you were there, and that's what counts.
You know, you fake cried for about 7 or 8 hours today. Not one tear came out of your eyes. Not one. Not one. Not on scene with the officers. Not in this room. You have fake cried over this woman's death since we made contact with you for hours. And every single time you fake cried, we wrote it down. Not one tear came out of your eyes. Not one.
Nope.
Okay? We've been extremely patient with you for a very long time. I am losing my patience at this point because there is not a lick of remorse for what you did to this woman. Not even a little bit. Okay? I'm really starting to believe you wanted her dead. And I'm really starting to believe you planned it. David, because not a lick of remorse. Not even a little. You sat there for the last 2 hours and stared at her picture and you haven't cried. Not one tear. You're staring at a woman you're telling us you're in love with and you've done nothing the whole time. But close your eyes, huddle up, and protect your own ass. And that's all you've done. You've not shed one tear on that picture. Not one. You claim to love that woman? I would be under the fucking table in a ball if I was in love with that woman and she was dead. I would be inconsolable. I wouldn't even be able to utter the words or talk to detectives for 6 or 7 hours like you have. Okay? You've not shed one tear in that picture. And you've been staring at it since she presented it to you. 2 hours ago. Over 2 hours ago. You are not remorseful for what happened to her. You could give 2 shits about what happened to Shanti tonight. Okay? I told you she was murdered. Murdered. Someone took her life from her. And there's nothing. You can't even fake it. That's how much you could give a shit. You can't even fake it. I know you think your theatrics and your maybe some drama that you've had in your past was good. It was terrible. The officers on scene didn't believe you, and neither do we. You fucked up. That's the end of it. You screwed up. You made a mistake, whatever it is. I'm starting to believe it wasn't a mistake. I'm starting to believe that David wanted this chick dead. For whatever you might gain, for control, creative control of the house, so you can direct the build. I don't know what your motivation would be, but I know you stand to benefit. I know that the show that's going to happen is now yours. That all the decisions that are made are now yours. The $250,000 you tend to inherit, you can build the house of your dreams. Maybe never work again. I know there's motivation. Is it the accurate motivation? Maybe not. Is it what I'm going to paint you as? Probably.
Investigators then received an unexpected tip that led them back to Minnesota, to a time when David was married to a woman named Carol. Former close friends of Carol informed the detectives that they suspected David might have been poisoning his ex-wife. Allegedly, shortly after David and Carol got married, Carol began experiencing various unexplained health issues. This revelation prompted investigators to consider whether Shanti might have had similar health problems. Upon delving into Shanti's medical history, detectives discovered that 8 weeks before her death, she underwent an emergency appendix removal seemingly out of nowhere. While the hospital attributed it to appendicitis, investigators noted that the symptoms of appendicitis and poisoning can overlap. David himself disclosed to investigators that Shanti had been facing digestive problems leading up to the day she died. In another surprising development, investigators received an unexpected call from one of David's defense attorneys, who claimed to possess bloody sheets from the couple's home. Astonishingly, the defense attorney had never disclosed this evidence to the prosecution. The detective promptly informed David's attorney that any additional evidence must be handed over immediately. Approximately 10 to 12 hours later, the attorney contacted the detective again, revealing another item, an undisclosed green cord. The defense attorney explained that a private investigator removed it from David's residence due to David's alleged threats of self-harm. The investigators initially found this explanation puzzling. However, the connection became clear when they recalled Shanti's cause of death: strangulation. Upon testing the green cord for DNA evidence, the results were conclusive. 0 DNA was found on the cord. While not entirely surprising, given the possibility of prior cleaning, the absence of any DNA, including fingerprints, raised suspicions. Subsequently, the defense attorney withdrew from representing David and came under investigation themselves for potential evidence tampering. Prior to the trial, David underwent a mental assessment, and he was found unfit for trial, having been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
This Orlando man who's charged with his wife's murder could soon be institutionalized. David Tronis is accused of killing Shanti Cooper Tronis in 2018. A doctor for the defense and another doctor for the state have determined he's incompetent to stand trial.
Looking gaunt and pale, a long-haired David Trones walked into court. For the first time since Trones' arrest, Jackson Cooper, the son of murder victim Shanti Cooper Trones, was there to see him in person.
It's good because I know he's not doing good at all. The state of him, he looks horrible.
Jackson was just 8 years old when Shanti was slain in their Delaney Park home in 2018. His stepdad, David Trones, was later arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Today, the now 12-year-old clutched a photo of his mom as he shared with us.
Both doctors have agreed in their reports that the defendant is incompetent to proceed and recommend that he be committed.
The judge will make the final decision, but it's likely Trones will be sent to a mental institution, pushing the trial back again. For Jackson, it's just another delay in what's already been a long wait for justice. He believes Trones' incompetence is all an act.
He's just trying to get out of it because he thinks he's going to get to a mental hospital and play around.
This process is something he's still learning to live with, on top of life without his mom.
A judge determined that he was now competent to stand trial. His trial began on October 12, 2023. Throughout the 5-day trial, the defense argued that David was not involved in Shanti's murder, suggesting she might have been at home during a burglary. The prosecution countered this by pointing out the lack of forced entry, no signs of struggle, and the presence of valuable items still remaining at the house. According to the prosecution, David attacked Shanti the night before he called 911. It is speculated that Shanti found out about the bathhouse situation, confronted David, and planned to leave him. Allegedly, he reacted violently to this argument and murdered Shanti. The prosecution claimed that the next day, David carried on with his normal activities before returning home and calling 911 in the evening. During the investigation, authorities found one of Shanti's earrings on her bedside table, with the other still in her ear. Notably, her cell phone had not been used or moved since the night before at 11 p.m. Detectives believe this is when David killed Shanti. After 5 hours of deliberation, the jury found David guilty of the murder charge. Witness impact statements were allowed, and Shanti's son delivered a powerful statement with great courage. Subsequently, David was sentenced to life in prison.
Your Honor, my mom was the best person I ever knew. It's like a hole in my heart that I can't fill or fix. She didn't die peacefully. She did not deserve anything that happened to her that night. My family and I have been waiting for about 5 years for justice. I miss her so much. I would have never thought the day before was the last time I would see my mother alive. I miss the times where we would go to Universal, or just the simple times, like walking the dogs or going to the park. She was the best mom I could ever ask for.
After today, no one will ever call or visit him where he's going. He will be forgotten, and he will not even be a footnote in this world. If Your Honor does what she is supposed to and do what is right, and that will only be a fraction of what he deserves for what he did to her.